Right, good evening, everyone, and happy Valentine's in arrears to the lovers in the house. It's such a pleasure to have all of you join in today from wherever you're joining in, and we're blessed to have our presenter and moderator waiting to begin or to kick off today's presentation. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge everyone who has joined in. Please type in the chat and just tell us where you are joining in from. Tell us where you're joining in from, your name and where you are joining in from. We will be glad to welcome you and acknowledge your presence. While that is going on, our safeguarding policy is that we try as much as possible to be respectful to everyone who is online, and we would not expect you to share any personal information, phone number, account number, or we would not like to see spamming of any sort. If we notice that and we are not happy with you, we would have to delete your comments if it's offensive. Thank you very much, Martina from South Africa. Hello, Nath. Thank you very much for joining in. Thank you, Sally from Port Harcourt. Maureen from Delta. Joe Sahara, thank you very much for joining in. We're really glad to have you here. Now, tonight, we have our moderator for the day, Nena Teresa, who is going to lead today's conversation by moderating today's session on time management in lesson planning and delivery. You are here with us, the Association, English Language Teachers Association of Nigeria, ELTAN, and we are very happy to welcome our guest, Babangida Danladi, to join into this presentation. So I'm handing over the microphone now to to Nena Teresa to introduce our presenter for today. Welcome, everyone, and we hope you have a good time here.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Good evening. You're welcome to another exciting ELTAN webinar. Okay, so our facilitator for today, of course, it has always been richly packed for ELTAN, and today we have an expert in the field of English language who will take us on the topic time management. Now, Mr. Babangida Danladi, it's a teacher whose experience has spanned over 2 decades. He currently serves as the head of Department English at Adamu, Tafawa, Balewa College of Education, Kangere. I don't know, I hope I got that right. Okay, so in a short while, Mr. Danladi would take the stage, and I really hope that you would enjoy the session because he would definitely unpack the intellectual luggage, let me put it that way, he has brought. He has been cooking. So definitely he would serve us delicious meal tonight. So I hope you're ready. You have your writing pads with you and everything. All right, so let's go. Mr. Danladi, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Nena. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. The topic of yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes,
Go ahead.
hear you.
Yes,
okay. Great. The topic of my presentation today is time management in lesson planning and delivery. The following are the objectives of the presentation. At the end of the presentation, the participants should be able to, 1, critically think about how they manage time in planning and delivering their lessons. 2, Identify some causes of time mismanagement in lesson planning and provide some solutions to them. 3, identify and use some strategies for effective time management in lesson planning and delivery. The next slide. Good. Now, I would like to start by asking us this, and I would like everyone to respond by typing in the chat. I would like you to type and respond to the questions. Which of these situations have you ever found yourself in as a teacher or a lecturer while delivering your lecture or while delivering your lesson? A, have you ever run out of time during your delivery, your lesson delivery or your lecture delivery? Yes, let me get some responses. You can chat, you can type in the chat and respond to this question. If yes, good. I can see Nathaniel. Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, if you have ever experienced this, how did you respond to this issue? Can you just tell us through typing? You just chat and tell us how you reacted to that situation. Yes, so much to cover with little time, I can see. So how did you respond to that situation? Did you just leave the class? Please, the moderator, can you be reading out some of the chats for us?
Okay, so I have Nathaniel here says, I rushed through the last point, sadly. Now we have another red from Padina. Padina is saying, get the rest of the activities as a homework.
Okay, good.
Yes, I Justino, okay. I have Maureen. Maureen is saying, move straight to evaluation.
Wow.
Okay.
Good. Thank you for these responses. I'm very happy to hear these responses. I know I'm talking to experienced teachers, and we are going to be learning from your experiences. The second question is, have you ever finished your class with sufficient time left? You discover that you planned a lesson, you presented that lesson, and you finished presenting the lesson, and you discover that you still have sufficient time left for you. Yes, okay. I've seen some responding, yes, yes, good, great. That's great. So how did you respond? What was your reaction? How did you react? What did you do in that situation? Nene, can you read out the responses?
I would say Jesus. I got that name right. I'm so sorry if I did not. Now he's saying, I had much time left. I used spending time to ask my students questions and give them answers. Okay, Nathaniel Noah is saying, at other times I said we will continue next time.
Okay, great. So thank you very much for these responses. Yes. No, read it out.
Okay, Maureen is saying, give extra class activities to engage them.
Okay, she gave extra class activities to engage the learners. Thank you very much for the responses. I can see responses coming in, a lot of responses. I'm very happy about that. It's very good to understand that when you run out of time during your lecture or lesson delivery, it's part of time mismanagement. And when you finish your lesson or lecture with sufficient time left, it's also time mismanagement. If you just leave the class like that, You have left a lot of time. We are going to see some of these things and how to handle them. Next slide, okay, yes. So let's talk about time management in teaching profession. Why is it important for us to talk about time management in teaching profession? According to Jennifer Harity, 2024, time management is the skill of planning your tasks based on the time you have to work. Now, as teachers, we have been given limited time, a limited period of time to deliver our lectures, to deliver our lessons. It involves organizing, planning, and scheduling. Teachers are faced with the challenge of preparing and delivering effective lessons within limited periods of time throughout their career. Now, you are expected to prepare and deliver an effective lesson. Underline the word effective. Effective lesson within the limited period of time given to you. That is a challenge of time management in the teaching profession. Now, how do we address that challenge as teachers? You are faced with this challenge day in, day out. We can't run away from it. We have been given limited time on the timetable to prepare lessons and to present lessons. The curriculum is there, and you have broken the curriculum into weekly scheme of work, and you have your daily lesson plan. You have the things that you're expected to cover during the term or during the semester. Now, if you do not manage your time very well, you'll discover that you will leave so many things in the curriculum, so many things to be covered in that time, which are in the curriculum uncovered. That is why, as teachers, time management makes us better. It makes us deliver what is expected of us in a better way. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. Time management lesson / lecture planning. Milkova Stiliana 2021 defines a lesson plan as the instructor's roadmap on what students need to learn and how it will be done effectively during the class time. That is lesson plan. And for you to plan very well, you can see the picture under the picture there. You can see a clock and you can see a calendar. Now, you need to use your calendar and you need to use your clock. You should understand if actually you are given 30 minutes for your lesson presentation, or you are given 40 minutes, or you are given 1 hour or 2 hours in a week as a lecturer to present your lesson. You need to sit down, use the calendar, break the course contents into the number of weeks that you have. And then you have to take the course contents and plan, okay, for each lesson that you have or each lecture week. And you need to allot time to each of the things you are planning. Now, the use of calendar is very important. The use of clock is very important. Let's go to the next slide. Milkova posits that a very good lesson plan addresses and integrates these 3 components which influence one another. We have 3 components, as you can see on the slide. What do I want? The first one is, what do I want my students to learn? Once you pick the topic, as a teacher, you look at the topic and then you think of this thing first. What do I want my students to learn? That will give you the objectives of the lesson. You identify specific objectives and achievable ones. That is the first thing. And that will influence the second thing. What teaching and learning activities will I use? When you identify the activities, the objectives, then you think of the activities that you are going to use. What will you employ to achieve the identified objectives? Okay. Then the third thing is, how will I check for understanding? Because it is very important for a teacher to check whether the objectives identified have been achieved or not. This is a task that you must achieve. Now, what do I want my students to learn will influence what teaching and learning activities will I use. The teaching and learning activities that you use will influence how you check understanding. And the way you check understanding will influence also, will tell you something about the objectives you have identified. Have they been achieved? Have they not been achieved? What is the issue? The next slide. Now, we are going to discuss. I would like us to look at these things one after another. Identify the roles that the following factors play in time mismanagement during lesson delivery. One, teacher's behavior. Let's respond in the chat. Let's chat. Let's respond. Let me get your responses. The teacher's behavior. How do you think? What role does the teacher's behavior play in time mismanagement during lecture or during lesson delivery? Can I start getting some responses from the chat? Yes. And then you can please read out the responses for us.
We've not got any response yet. We've not got any response.
Okay. I hope I'm not too first. I hope we are following. If we're following, good.
Okay, I think I have one. Maybe I'll be saying spend time reprimanding students, and that takes their time.
Good.
And then we have Noah. He's saying his behavior could excite students. I think he's talking about a teacher's behavior could excite students. Okay.
Okay.
I think Martina,
we're talking about how teachers' behavior can bring about time management during lesson delivery.
Yes. So we have another response. It says
no planning.
Teachers' behavior. This is from Machoka. Teachers' behavior. Okay. Teachers spend time talking about personal issues.
Good.
We have no planning done. Maureen is saying prove or hinder comprehension. Now, I don't know whose role this is now. I think the teacher can improve or hinder comprehension.
Yes.
Now we have Makari is saying telling stories outside the lesson.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sally is saying teachers' behavior affects students' behavior positively or negatively.
Good.
And just to Elo, a teacher who lacks confidence will have a challenge controlling the class, which in turn affects lesson delivery. This happens a lot in public schools. The students will take
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Adeshola is saying, Dashola rather is saying, too much talking time. Okay. Nathaniel Noah is saying, when the teacher is talking too fast or too slow, that can hinder. Eric is saying, TTT, uncontrolled teacher talking time. That is over-explaining. I think that's all for now.
Okay, great. Thank you for these responses. In fact, I believe we're all learning from the responses of our colleagues, and they are talking to us, they are speaking to us out of experience. The second one, learners' behavior. How can learners' behavior bring about time mismanagement during lesson delivery? Yes.
Okay. We don't have any response yet.
Yes, Nana.
Okay, Nathaniel is saying when is rowdy.
Yes.
Yes, I think that's the only. And Mabel, making a noise during lesson.
Good.
Yes. And when we have Martina saying students are not giving, they're not giving work to do.
Good.
Yes. I think Amakari is agreeing to what Mabel is saying. Making noise. She also is saying digressions or distractions. Eric, overspending time on a given activity.
Yes.
Right. We have Manu. When teacher is friendly, the behavior of the student will change to his attention. Maureen, learner's behavior can increase distraction and affect lesson delivery. Ruth, slow response to instructions.
Yes.
And we have balancing. Learner's disruptive behavior will result in the teacher failing to complete tasks, thereby not achieving the objectives.
Great. I'm happy about these responses. Responses are coming in. Shows we are following, and we are ready to contribute. We are ready to share with us from your experiences, and we are learning. Yes, I can see more responses coming in. All right, so let's go to the third one, teaching techniques. How can teaching techniques bring about time mismanagement during lesson delivery? Good. You can see we are still receiving responses on the second one. Let's now start responding to the third one, please. Teaching techniques. I'm happy we are identifying some ways time is mismanaged during lesson delivery. Yes, responses have started coming in.
Okay, so now Daniel is saying when inappropriate technique is chosen by the teacher.
Yes.
Ruth says when lessons are poorly structured. Maneuver rather, teacher technicality would gear the teaching towards success.
Yes.
Okay, so we have Martina, I think said listening and speaking.
Okay.
Afolakemi saying obsolete instructional materials can affect. Now, maybe oral lesson planning.
Yes, right.
Okay, so we have Jesu Elo.
Okay.
Jesu Elo saying a teacher who uses teacher-centered technique bound to have challenge delivering lessons. You end up explaining over and over to students, especially struggling learners. Now we have teachers must establish and communicate clear rules, routines, and behavioral expectations from the beginning. When students understand what is expected, they're more likely to follow guidelines, reducing disruptions.
Yes.
Should I go on?
Great. Continue.
Okay, so John, hear me? Most times, a teacher is forced to break the ice when the environment becomes unfriendly. However, when this technique is not managed, the lesson for that day is lost.
Mm.
I have no idea. When a teacher lacks mastery of chosen techniques, okay, so Scholastica Amadi, too much explanation.
Mm.
Yes, Eric, when you have unplanned techniques, okay,
Yeah.
teachers use the suitable teaching technique for his or her content.
Mm.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We thank you very much. I'm grateful we have responded to the third one. Then let's go to the fourth one, classroom activities. How do classroom activities bring about time mismanagement during lesson or lecture delivery? Can we respond to that? We have identified how teachers' behavior brings about time mismanagement, how learners' behavior also brings about time mismanagement, and teaching techniques also. And the last one is classroom activities.
Okay. We have one from Mabel. Mabel here says activities that are not well planned can consume time.
Yes, great.
Uncontrolled classroom activities
Great.
without yielding the desired objectives.
Yes.
Activities in the classroom is a symbol that the lesson is likely to be achievable.
Mm.
Now we have another one, Justino. Not well-designed activities may take too much time.
Yes.
Okay. Ruth says group activities may waste time with lax focus.
Mm.
Yeah. So Machuga again. Most teachers are not aware that you must teach and assess. They just teach time lapses and they leave the classroom.
Well.
Okay, Maureen is saying too much classroom activity. Okay, so we have another one from Ayodeji. Lesson activities without specific starting time and stopping time.
Yes.
When the activity does not align with the time frame. Thanks for Mohammed.
Yes.
Some classroom activities can be very, very interesting or controversial, so it takes time.
Mm.
Evelyn is saying carrying out a wrong classroom activity at the right time is time consuming.
Yes. Great. Thank you so much for all these responses. Clear, we're flowing, we're contributing. Very happy about that. Now, what we have identified some challenges, some things that bring about time mismanagement during lesson or lecture delivery. Let me now ask this. Can we identify some solutions to these issues? What do you think are some solutions? Can we profile some solutions to the problems we have identified? Teachers' behavior, for example, learners' behavior. Okay. Some talked about the teacher going to the classroom without good lesson plan, without planning the lesson very well. I think the solution to that, okay, the teacher should have a well-structured lesson plan. Now, let's profile some solutions to the problems we have identified to some of these causes of time mismanagement. Yes, I can see some responses coming in, and you read them up for us, please, Nena.
Must plan ahead of time. Francis is saying some activities must be well guided, and managed. Now we have
Yes.
architecture to proper lesson. Now, teachers need to plan their lessons in time. John
Great.
is saying lessons and activities before classes can be overemphasized. Ayodeji, an established class culture, a clear vision. Maureen, teacher talking time should be used.
Yes.
Just, plan their lessons accordingly.
Great.
So we have Sally. Sally said teachers can choose while planning.
Yes.
Okay, so we have Dashola. Engaging activities for learners' participation. Jane says class activities must be suitable to the learner's age.
Yes.
I think that should be
Great.
all.
Thank
Last
you.
response is
Thank you very much. I believe we have responded very well, and I believe we are learning from what we have been, saying through the church. I would like to say that sometimes it is easier said than done. We should practice these things that we are talking about. And when we do that, our classrooms, the learners will find our lessons or our lectures very captivating, and they are going to learn a lot. If we do away with things, with some behaviors that actually bring about time mismanagement during a lesson or lecture delivery. Now, if you mismanage time, you can run into some issues with your colleagues, and you're always in the habit of, running out of time during your lesson or lecture delivery. And you always have to beg for your colleague, please, just give me some minutes. I will just summarize and go out. No, the person may be polite to you because he may not want you to have issue with him in the presence of your students, but the person may not be happy. So please, let's put these things we are talking about into practice. They are going to help us greatly. Next slide. Okay, you can see some causes of time mismanagement in lesson delivery. We have identified so many. Now, you look at the picture there. Look at the picture. You will see, please, the slide. Great. You can see how papers are scattered in the class. You can see some students standing up. Now you can see the way the teacher is, you can see the face of the teacher, that the teacher is not happy with what is going on. So some of these causes, we have identified many. Here is a summary of some of them. Poor lesson planning. We have frequent interruptions, maybe from your learners or from your colleagues. Somebody will come and call your attention. Please, let me talk to you. That's why we should avoid interrupting teachers when they are teaching. Then we have teacher digression. When the teacher digresses, it will also cause time mismanagement. We have lack of students' engagement. If you do not engage your students, your learners very well, your time is likely to be mismanaged. Disorganized classroom. When your classroom is disorganized, disruptive students' behavior. In the chart, I saw some of these things mentioned by our colleagues. Now, next chart. Here we have some strategies for effective time management in lesson / lecture planning and delivery. The first thing is that you should identify specific and achievable teaching objectives and activities to be used in achieving them. we should identify specific and achievable objectives, and we should prioritize them. We should arrange them on the scale of their importance. The most important ones should come first, so that when you run out of time, you can perhaps give homework. As we received in one of the responses, somebody said when that person ran out of time, he or she gave them homework. Estimate how much time each of the activities will take, then plan some extra for each. If you identify your teaching objectives and the activities you are going to use in achieving them, you should also allot time to each of the activities you have identified on your lesson plan, or if you don't want to put the timing on the lesson plan, you can put it somewhere on a sheet of paper where you will not forget, and make sure that number 3, when you prepare your lesson plan, next to each activity, indicate how much time you expect it will take. Focus on achieving your defined objectives during the lesson delivery. You should focus on achieving your identified objectives. Don't digress a lot. Remain focused. Then you plan a few minutes to answer some remaining questions by the end of your lesson. If actually you discover that there are times, you plan for this, because you may finish your lesson and discover that you have sufficient time left. Then plan some extra activities for the learners, so that when at the end of your lesson, you still have time left, you can engage them in the extra activity. But if there is no time left, you just keep that extra activity. Plan an extra activity, or discussion question in case you have time left. Then be flexible. Be ready to adjust your lesson plan to students' needs. Do not be rigid. Do not stick on the original plan. Perhaps you go to the class and your plan is that you are going to engage your learners in group discussions. And when you get to the class, you discover that you have got them engaged in group discussion, but it's not working very well for that lesson. You switch to another. Do not stick and insist on using the group discussion. Maybe you pair the learners. And if you earlier planned to pair the learners, and then at the end of it, you discover that when you got to the class and you are delivering your lesson, you discover that the pairing is not working for you, be flexible as a teacher. Do not stick to your original plan and say, this is what I must do, because it is what I have planned in my lesson plan. So I am not going to change. I must do it. I don't think that will be very good for you. Yes, next slide. I think that's all. Thank you very much for listening. There are some questions. Is there any questions? Any questions?
For the engaging session. So now it's time for questions. If you have any question, you can drop it on the chat box. He would answer it, of course.
On the chat, and then take some minutes to respond to that.
Okay. Do we have any question? Keep your questions coming. Drop them on the chat box. Okay. Or you can quickly unmute yourself and ask your question. Do we have any question? Okay, Jen is saying good presentation. Okay, so we have a question. So Mr. Danladi, Machuga is saying, how is the template of a lesson plan? I think that's the question. How is the template of a lesson plan?
Yes. Should I respond to that?
Yes, sir. You should.
Okay. I don't think there is just one template of a lesson plan. We have different templates of writing a lesson plan, and sometimes it depends on the place where you're working. I can remember there was a time we had a workshop for teachers of primary school, and we were given superb template, the one that UBEC template. Normally, there are three most important components of a lesson plan. No matter how the template is, these three things must be included. One, the objectives. Objectives of the lesson must be included. Then you have the presentation, the activities you are going to do in teaching those things you have planned. Those things must be there. The activities should be indicated. You have the presentation, then evaluation. These are the most important components of a lesson plan. Other things, you have the instructional material, previous knowledge, okay, the introduction. You have, okay, name of school in some cases. You have also name of class, the class you are teaching should be indicated on the lesson plan. A teaching JS1, a teaching primary 1, a teaching primary 2. Now, you have those things. And I think good. We have British Council samples of lesson plan. If you go to that site, you'll see a lot of them. But bear it at the back of your mind that these three components are very important. They are very, very important. They are indispensable, writing a very good lesson plan. I don't know if I've responded to that question. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, sir. So we have another question. We have another question from, okay, let me get it. Okay, so Justina is asking, first of all, he's saying he's very good presentation. So thank you very much. So the question is there a way I can get this presentation? Oh, okay, yes. After this webinar, a recorded version will be sent to the Elton platform. You can get access to it through the general platform. Okay, so
Yes.
Ibrahim. Okay, this is not a question. Okay, Amakiri, what can it do where the class is too large for a single teacher?
It's one of the challenges we face as teachers, particularly in public schools. You discover that in some primary schools, you have over 100 pupils in a class. And in such a class, it's actually very challenging for the teacher to handle the class. Just one teacher handling over 100 pupils, not secondary school students, primary school pupils, over 100 in a class. That is a very, very serious situation that sometimes we as teachers find ourselves in. And in such a situation, as teachers, we have to use methods, use techniques that will capture the attention of the learners. You can get them engaged by asking them to perform some activities. In this type of class, it will be very difficult for you to group the learners. Because before you finish grouping the learners, you will discover that you have little time left. And as a teacher, that's why improvisation is very important. You need to look at your situation and improvise. Improvise. Use some techniques that will capture the attention of your learners. Otherwise, the class will be disruptive and you will end up speaking to the class. You will speak so much and discover that at the end of it, you have not said anything because the learners will not learn anything. Some of them will be playing and some of them may even be fighting while you are teaching. That's why in some schools, what I see some people do is that they'll put two teachers in the class. If the class is very large, two teachers will be there. One teaching, one controlling the learners. But, that's a very serious situation that sometimes we find ourselves in, and we have to improvise. I handled a class of about 134 students when I was teaching in a secondary school. I found it very easy to handle them because they are not they are not small children. They are grown-up learners. It was not difficult to handle them because I was using some techniques to get them engaged, to get them to capture their attention so that they will not be playing or doing something else while teaching is going on. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Another question from Chinonso. Who do we blame for lack of sufficient time for specific lesson content that require more time than allotted?
Who do we blame?
Who do we blame for lack of sufficient time for specific lesson content that require more time than allotted?
I would not want to blame anybody, but if I am allowed to blame somebody, I will blame the teacher. Because you have been given, the curriculum is there. The curriculum planners have planned it. But you as the teacher, you are the implementer of the curriculum. You implement it. And it is at the point of implementation that you see, you sit down and look at those things. It's not possible to give everything. Sometimes we want to give everything to the learners in detail. What we should do is this. And that is why I said at the beginning of the presentation that we need to prioritize our objectives, identify specific and achievable objectives within the time allotted to you for the lesson. Other things you can give your learners as homework. When you get them engaged in some activities, you discover that you have given them the things that they need to know about the topic. Other things, you find a way of helping them to learn them on their own. We should encourage our learners to learn independently because it's not going to be possible for you to give your learners everything in the class. It may not be possible. Thank you.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll take this last question by the way, let me quickly respond to Taiwo. Taiwo is asking if the recording will be made available. Yes, it will on the general platform after the session. It will be made available. Okay, so let me go back to the question. Okay, so he's asking, Afola Kemi is asking, my question is, what extent does disallowing interruption be curbed, especially in emergency situations, especially in private schools?
In private school?
The question right.
Okay. Yes.
To what extent does disallowing interruption be curbed, especially in emergency situations, especially in private schools?
Okay, in emergency situations, I think I understand what the person is trying to. Let me respond to it this way. You know, we are human beings, and sometimes some things happen to us. If, for example, you have planned your lesson, a teacher may plan his or her lesson very well-structured lesson plan. When the teacher gets into the classroom, something may happen. Someone may even fall sick right there. And the person may feel he or she cannot continue with the class. There are situations like that. There can be situations like that. That's understandable. And to me, in such a situation, if there is any other teacher there, that is why we want lesson plan to be well structured, to be in detail, so that even if you are not there, somebody can take it, use it, and teach your class for you. So if you can get somebody to handle it for you, fine. You seek for the assistance, the help of your colleague to handle the class. You may be in class and then receive a call that a very close relative to you has passed away. It's on a death is inevitable. Something like that can happen. And when it happens, you know the teacher will be put off balance. The teacher will not be able to continue. And in such a situation, you don't expect the teacher to continue teaching. That is a kind of disruption. Now, you can also have interruption, rather. You can also have your colleagues coming to you. Okay, please, I want to talk to you 1 minute. Another person, please. In such a situation, you tell them, please, we'll talk when I leave the class, except it is an emergency. And if it is an emergency, we are human beings, we cannot avoid such situations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. We still have few minutes left. Let me just squeeze in this last question by Nathaniel Umar. Yes. What strategies can I use to manage unexpected interruptions that may disrupt the lesson schedule?
I think I have responded partly to that question. One of the strategies is that I have said it, that if, for example, you received a call that your attention is needed, an emergency call, you can seek the help of your colleague and try as much as possible to avoid giving attention to people while you are teaching. To try to make them understand that you have a limited time to deliver your lesson. They should please wait for you till after the lesson. And as much as possible, we should also avoid answering calls during lesson or lecture delivery. Please, let's try as much as possible to avoid it, because sometimes receiving calls, you are teaching and then you are receiving calls. Say, my friend is calling me. And then you receive that call, you excuse the students and receive the call, you come back, another call comes in, you receive it. Put the phone on silence or put it in flight mode so that after the class, even if you missed so many calls, you try and explain to them, I was in class when you called. I think that's another strategy that can help you avoid too many interruptions during lesson or lecture delivery. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babangida Danladi. I'm sure everyone here, we all have been richly blessed intellectually from your wealth of expertise, wealth of experience in teaching. Okay, so sadly, this webinar rather will be coming to an end. Of course, our topic is time management, and we have to be best practitioners of our topic. Thank you so much to everyone who took out time to join this webinar. So,
thank you.
version would be made available on the platforms. Now, the discussion doesn't just end here. I encourage everyone to, you can put your questions on the ELTAN platform if you are part of the ELTAN. The discussion can continue from there. So I apologize if I did not take your questions. I am truly sorry. All right, so this webinar come to an end. Thank you so much, Mr. Danladi. Thank you to everyone for joining this webinar. See you next month. All right, bye. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nenna, for that lovely moderation. And thank you, Babangida. If you read in the chat, you see commendations from virtually everyone who has been part of today's session. It's such a pleasure to see, our professionals, willing to share good ideas, good practice. And that is what ELTAN is all about, sharing and promoting good practice amongst ourselves. And I could see even in the chat, really experienced teachers, with over 2 decades or 3 decades wealth of experience, sharing ideas. And thank you so much for the engaging session, Babangida and Nenna. All right, on your screen, you can see the ELTAN platform, the ELTAN website. If you scroll down, you see loads and loads of resources that you could use. If you're in doubt, you can just check. You can see what we have there. We've got Teaching English Global, Teaching English Africa, resources that you could click on, download. If you visit any of these sites, for those of you who are teaching primary and secondary, well, grades 7, 8, 9, you have resources for them. You can just click on it and you see resources to help and improve the quality of your teaching. For those who are non-members of the association, please do well to register. You can join the association by going to our site, eltanigeria.org, and just fill out the form and pay the required subscription fee for the year. And voila, you're good to go. Have access to these and many more resources that we have from different parts of our collaborations with professional bodies. All right. I think I'm done with all the information I need to give you. Something is coming up soon. Our conference flyers will soon be out. Those of you who are planning to be a part of this year's conference, it will be in Delta State, Asaba to be precise. Please get yourself ready, warm up, and we'll be hoping to have you. And for those who are not members of ELTAN, yes, Nenna had made mention of the fact that we would post the recording of this webinar on our platforms. We have a YouTube channel where we upload all these webinars. You could just go on the YouTube channel, just go to YouTube and search for ELTAN, E-L-T-A-N. You would see videos, archived videos of various webinars we've held in the past, and you can rewatch this video and learn some more. It's such a pleasure to have all of you, and we hope that you have enjoyed yourself tonight. Please keep up the conversation and keep up with professional development in your various environments. It's good night from me. We can say our goodbyes now, and it's a wrap from us. Have a good night and take good care. All right. Good night.